I'm Matt Stewart, a Melbourne comedian.
Don't have a mullet because it's in fashion. I actually have a mullet because it's sun smart. Yeah.
I'm a lover of all things beer and also adventure.
I used to mop floors at the supermarket, so this is right in my wheelhouse.
I've been set the task of recreating some of Australia's most epic historical journeys. This season, we're taking on the 3,000-kilometre trip up Central Australia, stopping into as many craft breweries
I might have to take the rest of the day off.
and iconic Aussie hotels as I can. And I'll be doing it all in this thing.
My inner ears are now, they're vibrated out of my head.
History,
In a Scotsman coming out here, you would never have seen anything like it.
heroes,
Humpty-Doo digger.
and hops.
Look at that. That's ready for an ad.
In this episode, we're reaching into the heart of the country, travelling up the Flinders Ranges, visiting a gin distillery, entering the Outback, and staying in an iconic Aussie pub with a beery twist.
Perfect pump every time.
He's out there, somewhere, crossing country, north to south, east to west, following rainbows for the liquid pot of gold. The man is amber obsessed. He's conquering fears, drinking boutique beers, just for you and me. He's a man on a mission, a liquid dietitian, a bearded brewery magician. He's the beer pioneer. He is the beer pioneer. He's the beer pioneer. He's the admiral of cheer. He's the admiral of cheer. He is the amber cavalier. He's the amber cavalier. And he's the malted musketeer. He's the malted musketeer. He is the bevy buccaneer. He's the bevy buccaneer. Oh yes, he is the beer pioneer. Oh yes, he is.
We've left the Clare Valley and are heading up to Port Augusta. We're travelling up the Augusta Highway along the Spencer Gulf, whose warm waters, tidal mangrove forests and expansive seagrass meadows are home to a wealth of sea life. On our right, the base of the mighty Flinders Ranges. Geez, how's this sunset? Time for a little stop to take it all in. Alright, looks like they don't have any footage of the sunset itself, but enjoy this footage of me enjoying the sunset. It was an absolute ripper. Do yourself a favour and get to the side of the road down there. But we've got to keep moving and make Port Augusta in time for some dinner. I say dinner because that's probably how you're familiar with it. To me, it's just nighttime tucker. Oh, hang on. No, we did have some footage of the sunset. Have a look at that. Magnifique. I'm staying in the oldest hotel in Port Augusta, dating back to 1878 and named after Matthew Flinders, the first European to chart the southern coast back in 1802. It was built along with 12 other hotels during the boom years of Port Augusta in the late 1800s. I'm sitting down for a beer with Rick, the current owner of this beautiful old pub. The beer flowed and so did the conversation.
What a pub.
Mate, thanks for dropping in. Yeah, I've only owned the place for 2 days now. So,
Amazing.
yeah, it's a big culture shock. Come from coal mining.
So your background's in mining.
For the last 15 years, yeah.
Whereabouts?
And the Hunter Valley for the last 10 and central Queensland before that.
How much time have you spent here in Port Augusta?
I've been here for about 6 weeks.
No kidding. Love it. What are your plans for the place?
Mate, I just want to have a family hotel where people can come and have a meal and a couple of drinks, and people passing through can stop and get a good night's sleep in a warm bed and cold beer.
I don't know if our copyright will allow us to hear it, but I'll tell you what, John Bon Jovi's been going off tonight and I've been loving every minute of it. And I think I was reading that it's one of the biggest pubs in South Australia.
The thing that got me when I first saw it was we got met by the previous owner and he walked us through, and I walked out there and saw the huge ceilings, and then the grand staircase was like, oh man, this is beautiful. Yeah.
I love a good staircase. So this is my first time to Port Augusta, and you're relatively new here. What should I know about Port Augusta?
Oh, it's the crossroads of the nation. We've got from Sydney to Perth, we've got from Adelaide to Darwin. Both the train lines and the highways all meet in Port Augusta. So
Right.
It's a great place to stop and have a beer.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes, that's right. I am a conversationalist. When you buy a pub, as I assume you all will one day, hopefully it comes with its own history book that stays with the pub as it changes hands over the decades.
It's amazing to see this, and it hasn't changed much at all.
Not the front.
Quite amazing.
We think back then we had the big wharf, so the big ships and that always used to come in and...
Yeah, that's right. So there's right at the end of the road, the ships that just and I mean, you know, this is years later. Like this is at least 1900s with the
car.
Isn't that amazing that this is? Oh yeah, the pub was already old by this point, basically.
Rick's kindly offered to indulge me in a game of pool, so I can keep the old skills honed and sharp.
I only ever travel with the 18-ounce dufferin. Rick, you happy to go with the no-name brand here? Watch and learn here. You don't necessarily learn there, but you, as long as you watched. Now, I'm pretty happy that I made contact with that. Okay, the white ball going down is not ideal, admittedly, but in the fridge for later, Rick, that one. That's a confident stroke. There are some pool players who'll just go bang, bang, bang. Waste the money. Take your time, enjoy yourself. Yeah. Now, it's sort of vaguely near a hole. It can be a bit showy when people just hit a ball right into the hole. It's like, yeah, we get it. You can play pool. Is that what we're here for? Or we're here to socialise and have a good time and, you know, get to know each other better? So we're on a day 2 of the match. Rick, I'm not sure, it doesn't feel like there's an even roll here. Oh, yes. Well played, Rick.
This is living.
What a cracking day. So good. The hospitality Rick's put out, the red carpet, I'd call it, is what he's rolled out. It's been fantastic. Had an awesome time. Got to enjoy the meal, have a beer, you know, get a bit of R&R before heading out on the road again tomorrow. We'll see you then.
He is the beer pioneer.
Today, the journey begins in Port Augusta, which makes sense because that's where we stayed last night. Founded in 1852, Port Augusta is the largest town we'll see until we reach Alice Springs, some 1,000 kilometres north. I sure am going to miss the big city hustle and bustle. The city's industries include railroad workshops, salt manufacture, power generation, and of course tourism. You show me a big salt manufacturing centre that doesn't have tourism. Its shallow port is still used for some shipping, but fishing and water sports now dominate the Gulf. It could claim the title for the crossroads of Australia, where the major highways and railway lines all intersect. It's also the gateway to the Flinders Ranges and the Outback, and it's here that the real adventure's gonna kick off.
We're travelling at approximately 3 feet off the ground due to the lift on the camper van. We're leaving a little late, but we'll try and make up that time on the journey. And yeah, just sit back, relax, and we'll be sipping on gins real soon. All right, over and out. I'm renaming the big rig Camper Van Wilder Party Liaison. I think it's pretty clear why. And then yeah, we're going to be forging on into the heart of Australia.
Leaving Port Augusta, we're following the path of the original Central Australian rail line, the old Garn, which still runs today as a tourist line to Quorn, where I've heard words some cracking gin is being distilled in a bloke's laundry.
We're heading past some of the huge salt flats out here. That's where salt comes from, I suppose. Never thought about salt before. People just come here and dig up salt and then sell it to us? What fools we've been. You could just come here and grab your own shovel. Big Salt has played us like fools for years, for too long. I'll be fetching my own salt from here on out. I think it's about a 15-hour drive from Melbourne to get here. 30-hour round trip. I could get a year's worth of salt at a time. So we're heading to Flinders Gin. I'm late to the gin party, but now that I'm here, I'm having a good time. They say you go mad in the middle of Australia. We're not there yet, but it's starting to happen to me already. So we're driving alongside Mount Brown, which I think is one of the best names for a mountain I've ever heard. It is what it says it is. It's a brown mountain. Mount Brown. I've seen so many people walk down highways.
We're coming into Quorn, a town originally established as a railway base as it became the crossroads of any north-south or east-west train travel in Australia in the early 1900s. Today it has transitioned into a tourist town, and it's also the backdrop for countless TV and film productions, such as Gallipoli and The Rover. But today I'm checking out a gin distillery, the only one in the Outback. Officially, that is. I haven't checked everyone's laundries, there's probably a few dodgy ones out there too, but this one is full legit. Located in an unassuming residential lot, you'd barely know it was even there. I'm catching up with Albie, who started the distillery just a few years ago in his laundry.
I used to own a group of bakeries across Australia. I got on a plane on a Monday morning at 6 and I got off a plane on a Friday night. After 12 years, I came home one night and I said to my wife, just can't do this anymore. It's just sick of the travelling. And she said to me, go and do what you want to do. And so what I wanted to do was set up a distillery.
Seems an unlikely spot for a distillery. With all those tourists day tripping on the train, he quickly found himself to be a popular man in town after starting Flinders Gin.
Everything's Flinders around. Was it Matthew Flinders?
Matthew Flinders, yeah.
Jeez, he put his name on a lot of stuff.
He did. Now he's got his name on a gin. So.
You're a baker, a distiller, you're a blacksmith.
Blacksmith, yeah.
What's the attraction of all these like classic old trades?
Oh, I actually like working with my hands. I just like, the blacksmith is an escapism for me. I put on headphones and I don't listen to this music normally, but it's called Tropical House. And it's the only time I ever listen to it is when I blacksmith. It's just got a beat, you know. I put it on and fire up the forge and just go nuts and just bang away. And it's actually quite soothing for me. It gets a lot of stress out and I enjoy doing it. Coming on 10 minutes the other day, so I just knocked up a bit of a keyring sort of thing.
Looks like a mustache.
Bit of a leaf,
leaf,
so to speak.
That's what I was going to be my second guess.
Yeah, all this equipment I've collected over the years and it's all used and it's all part of blacksmithing.
It's a tale as old as time. When he's not banging away on an anvil to tropical house music, you can find him inside distilling his gin. Due to a council footprint requirement, Albie was left with a bit of a predicament, and he had to distill everything inside his house.
The moment you're in the tasting room, which is the kitchen table, and the distillery is right next to it.
So using the existing footprint, there wasn't a lot of flexibility really, I guess.
No, there wasn't, but I wanted to make it work because I had my eyes on the bigger prizes, actually building the distillery next door.
But for now, it's into the laundry.
Oh, right.
So here's the distillery. We ferment about 1,000 litres every week. And I have not stopped fermenting since the day we started here. So it takes 7 days to ferment, which is what you can smell right now. It's fermenting. And then once it's fermenting, it takes me around about 30 hours to put a batch through the still. The reason it takes 30 hours, we triple distill everything we make here.
How do you get around in there?
It's like an IKEA distillery. It folds out. So all the fermentation tanks pull out.
Didn't you get into this to get out of a stressful job?
I did, but this is not stressful. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. This is what I enjoy doing.
Well, that's good. I'm not sure that I would necessarily enjoy it, but I would enjoy drinking it. Albie's got a couple over at the tasting area, aka the kitchen table.
So Quandons are a native peach. They have peachy, citrusy sort of flavours.
Am I allowed to have it?
Absolutely. That's you drinking the Quandon gin.
All right, so what am I looking for here?
So you'll get peachy, citrusy notes with a slightly tangy aftertaste as well.
Quandon.
A lot of people who grew up in this area, if you grew up as a little kid, you would have just eaten Quandons off the tree as you're out and about. These are dried Quandons. So we have to use dried quandons because quandons are only available for about 6 weeks a year.
Yep.
And so we actually get all our quandons they are dried. So they're actually split. They have a big seed in the middle, and then they dry them, and then we actually put them in the gin dried.
Quandong Gin, he was a character in Star Wars, wasn't he?
No. What's that? No.
Well, unfortunately, that very good joke went way over Albie's head, but that's okay, because after a few more gins, it's time to make tracks.
He is the beer pioneer.
If you're heading straight to Alice or Darwin, you'd probably take the new path of the Stewart Highway. But we're travelling via the original route north carved out by Stewart himself. It takes us up into the Flinders Ranges, the largest mountain range in South Australia. It's a unique environment, unlike anything else on our long journey through several climate zones. Here, the grasslands transition to desert, and a sense of the country's vastness sets in. 550 million years ago, the first living organisms on Earth lived here in a shallow tropical sea. Living in their own tropical house, you could say. The first humans here were the Adjumutnya people, meaning rock people. Scattered amongst this surreal landscape are ruins of old homesteads and sheep stations. Look at all this beautiful countryside. Occasional patches of trees around creeks provide reminders of how parched the surrounding lands are. Speaking of which, I'm pretty parched myself. Unfortunately, we're still a long way from any watering holes. The jagged mountain range of sandstone, limestone and quartzite spans 430 kilometres, with nearly all the peaks exceeding 300 metres. People say it's one of the most stunning landscapes in the country, and you can see why. To be honest, I never saw any of this, as I was in the back of the van having a bit of a kip, working off all that delicious gin. Like you, I'm watching this for the first time. To be honest, it's really making me wish I could go there, as I'm sure you're feeling too. Just one of those things. Maybe one day I'll be able to get there and see it for myself. Our destination is Parachilna at the foot of the ranges. The name comes from a Nukunnu Aboriginal word meaning place of peppermint gum trees. The settlement dates back to 1863 thanks to a small well and the proximity of copper mines. The train station is long out of use, but the old Garn tracks are still used for agriculture and mining. It's also home to a world-renowned fossil site, and if there's one thing I know about, it's fossil sites. But more on that later. It's a small town. Well, let's be honest, it's a few buildings. It's barely a town at all. And the most significant of these buildings is the Prairie Hotel. It's been an institution in Outback Australia since 1991 when the current owners, some fourth generation Flinders Ranges ranchers, bought their local and transformed it, and the surrounding site, into a destination venue. If you're looking for a place to have a drink and watch the sun set over the Outback, this has surely got to be the place. Oh, g'day mate, how's it going? Oh, that's just a statue. That's embarrassing, hopefully no one noticed that. After brushing up on my fossil knowledge, it's time to escape the cold of winter in the Outback and head inside. The Prairie Hotel has acquired a bit of a reputation for bringing Aussie Outback tucker like kangaroo, emu, goat and camel to a modern dining experience. It's a classy affair compared to some of the pubs still to come, so I better soak it up. And would you believe it, it's also recently opened a craft brewery. So I'm meeting Lockie, the brewer, to get the lowdown. Inside, things are decked out quite nicely. It's fair to say this would have all looked quite a lot different pre to 1991. Okay, priorities. Let's head into the brewery.
Come through my secret office.
Yeah. I feel like the opening of Get Smart, that amount of doors we got to get through.
Get Smart, that is a fresh reference.
You grew up in the neighbourhood?
Yeah. So on a cattle station, half an hour from here, 870 square kilometre property, so pretty big backyard. Always had an interest in brewing, and COVID was just the chance to reset and go, what are we going to do to keep things interesting and keep things moving along? I was like, well, there's not a brewery in Outback, South Australia, and I'm like, let's run with that.
I think my favourite fact that I heard about this place, which is quite a ridiculous fact, but that's the biggest piece of glass in the Outback?
Biggest single piece of glass in the Outback.
So this area, apart from being known as, this pub is like one of the icons of the area. The other big icons, fossils. It's a big fossil area.
Back in the 1940s, an old mine in the nearby Edgecara Hills uncovered the fossilised remains of an entire community of complex, soft-bodied sea creatures. This was the first discovery of such a complete fossil community anywhere in the world. The Edgecara fossils preserve an entire ecosystem, enabling scientists to understand what life on Earth was truly like in some of its earliest forms. They became so important that the first new geological era in 120 years, the Ediacaran era, was named after the site in 2004. This fossil site now provides an outdoor museum which draws paleontologists and other scientists from all over the world.
You've got some great artwork out the front of different fossils, including the South Australian state emblem fossil.
Yeah.
I love that South Australia's got a fossil emblem. It's named after Reg
Sprig.
Yeah. It's called the Sprigina.
Yep.
Personally, I would have called the fossil the Reg, but...
The Reg.
Enough about fossils, back to the beer. There's some ready and waiting to be kegged, so let's get to work.
50 litres, should be 50 kilograms. So
Gotcha.
you push it down. Oh, the gas is on. There we go. Now, so if you let a little bit of the gas out of...
What kind of gas we got here?
That'd be CO2, so don't put it in your face.
Okay, don't.
Right, so this might be more pressurised than the bright tank, so that'll shoot the gas back up. But once that sort of equalises, then it should just free run in here. If the pressure's higher in there, lower in here.
Right, I'll suck it in.
You can kind of hear when it's sort of getting a bit lower.
So it's just turning a knob. I mean, maybe I can do that.
Yeah.
Certain sound you're listening for.
I'm just you can sort of hear the gas sort of die off, and I reckon, so if I just cracked it a bit now.
So we want it to be 63.5, is that right?
Yeah, or 62, 63.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just...
So we're kegging right now.
We're kegging. We're filling keg.
We're working hard.
We are.
We're getting the job done.
We're keeping the bar going anyway. The CO2 will sit on top of the beer, so then essentially you've got oxygen-free beer that way, so...
Gotcha. Maybe your job is easy.
Parts of it.
That's kind of relaxing.
All right, so we're getting close.
Got to go for the perfect pump. So what are we going? 62?
Let's go 62.5.
All right, here we go. Oh! Can I go back? Oh!
Yeah.
It kept going. No, it's down. Oh, that was me. Oh,
yeah.
That was me.
Oh, if you can still crack it a little bit.
Hang on. I can't even cheat. Damn it. Yeah, you get that? Freeze frame on that. Perfect pump every time.
Then you just lift the coupler up.
Lift the coupler up.
There we go.
There he is.
Kegg's beer. What a beauty. We did it.
One of the toughest parts of the brewing process is to have a good sample, so it's over to the bar. Starting with a classic lager.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Single hopped with American Azaka, known for bright and refreshing fruit aromas, it's a beer for both craft enthusiasts and the traditional lager drinkers.
You can taste the hops. It's got a bit of a bang for a 3.5%.
Yeah, and just single hop as well. So choosing selecting your hops is probably as hard as creating the recipe itself.
Yeah. Everyone likes to come in here and tell you the glass sizes are called where they're from.
Glass sizes, yeah.
Your way around that is you've just streamlined it to big and small. Yeah.
Big and small.
Can't go wrong.
Every state knows what a big and small is. And some people go, well, how big's the big and how small's the small? Like, I don't know, how thirsty are you?
Yeah.
Like,
You have a big thirst or a small thirst?
Exactly. We actually do ask them that.
We're going to finish up with something of a rarity in Outback Australia, but one of my favourites, a stout.
Oh, it smells so good. This is the stout, you know what I mean? It's just like when I think of a stout, this is it. You've perfected it with your first go.
I know, first ever stout I've made.
Oh, cheers. Thanks so much
Cheers,
for
mate.
showing us around and taking us through the beers, letting me have a little bit of work experience.
You're very welcome. Thanks for dropping in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a few more of these once the cameras go off. Cheers.
Absolutely. Cheers, mate.
Geez, it's been a big day, and I think I can quite confidently say it's going to be the last place to get a fancy feed for the next few thousand kilometres. So let's tuck in.
Well, I think one of the things about being here in what I'm calling Quandong country, I don't think you can order a meal without Quandong in it. Oh, yes, it's everything I hoped for. We're going to cap off a delicious multi-course meal with a dessert here, and I know it's dessert with 2 S's because I've just learnt from the chef, sweet stuff. Double S is dessert, single S is desert. And the last time I get made a fool of ordering an ice cream in the Gobi. Well, we're about 500 Ks into the journey and I'm having the time of my life. So the good news is there's still 3,500 kilometres to go. And that all starts tomorrow and I can't wait to hit the road once again. Hopefully you'll be there with me. We'll see you next week here on the Beer Pioneer.
Coming up next time on the Beer Pioneer, we head further into the Outback to visit the most remote pub on the trip. We encounter a few technical difficulties, but it's fair to say the results are worth it.
Oh, that's ugly, but it'll play.